Councillor Heinck, can we do a quick mic check?
Testing.
One more time?
Hi.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. I have 7:19. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Will the recorder please call the roll?
Councillor Ervin,
Here.
Councillor Heinck,
Here.
Councillor Lammerman,
Here.
Councillor Merriday,
Here.
Councillor Settlemyre,
Here.
Councillor Wilson,
Here.
Mayor Soulsby.
Here. I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Items to be added to the agenda. I see none. There are no special presentations tonight. Appearance of interested citizens. This is a time for citizen comment. The council will first take comments addressing items not listed on the agenda for a maximum of 30 minutes. The council will then take comments addressing action items on the agenda for a maximum of 30 minutes. Individual speakers must be recognized by the presiding officer, provide their name, identify whether they are a city resident, and if so, their ward. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less with council approval. Comments regarding any matter scheduled for a public hearing may be provided only during that hearing. The council will not make any decisions based on public comment. However, staff and council may choose to ask questions or comment following the conclusion of citizen comments. Randy Soulard.
Good evening. Evening, Mayor, Council, and City staff. My name is Randy Soulard. I was a police captain here last year, and I wanted to share my opinions about my time with the city. It wasn't a great job for me, to be honest. The job description was very inaccurate, and had I known what the job really was, I would never have taken it. I was hired to manage a team of supervisors, but for the year I was here, I had no team and there were no supervisors. It just wasn't what I signed up for, and it wasn't what I came out of retirement to do. I also lost trust in the police chief. There was some selective accountability going on. Investigations were being mishandled carelessly. I also believe that he abused his power to defame an employee who was seeking employment. These actions, I feel, were illegal and violated city policy. I was open about my concerns because as a leader, that's the right thing to do. I've never quit anything in my life, but I did quit my job with the department. Before I could meet with the city manager about it, Corey Chase put me on administrative leave for no reason. It was a classic case of you can't quit, you're fired. And I literally did nothing wrong. The city accepted my resignation and I retired in good standing. I was a cop for 30 years in 3 states. My record is spotless. I've always tried to do the right thing, no matter what the cost. And I just can't work for someone that I don't respect and can't trust. And I just wanted everyone to know that I wasn't fired, I quit. I then received a letter from the state that Corey Chase had filed a false vindictive allegation against me for misconduct. And this was after I had already resigned. He intentionally lied, in my opinion, to the state to damage my reputation. And I finally have the receipts. It's been almost a year. Misconduct as defined by the state includes criminal acts or the misuse of authority to harm another. The state concluded that I had not committed any misconduct. There wasn't even an investigation because there was nothing to investigate. No evidence was ever presented by Corey Chase that I had committed any misconduct. My case was closed administratively as a consent item. I believe that making a serious allegation like misconduct, knowing it to be untrue and knowing there's no evidence to support it, is a lie. He's a smart guy. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he did it anyway. My career remains unblemished. My certification is restored, and Corey Chase is in my rearview mirror. But I can't in good conscience let what he did to me go unchecked. It was wrong. He abused his position and his power to defame me, as he had done to others. If anyone is guilty of misconduct, it is him. I wanted to let you all know what happened to me because I would really hate for that to happen to someone else. I think if the city wants to attract and retain good people, you can't treat people the way I was. And please reach out to me if you have any questions, and thank you for your time.
Counselor Lammerman.
1 sec, sir.
Randy.
Randy. Over here. Could I get you to email whatever documentation you have
The
in
city
regards to
manager
that way you
has,
can?
the city manager has everything.
I would love for you if you could send it to me. That way nothing, no offense to the city manager or anybody else, nothing is lost.
Absolutely, I can do that.
Awesome, thank you.
You bet.
Elaine Burns.
What a powerful experience to follow. My name is Elaine Burns. I'm a member of Ward 1. And I might go over a few seconds. I hope that this is still appropriate after feeling how powerful that was. Oh, little town of Cottage Grove, how broken you become. Your citizens now wake in fear while ISIS havoc reigns. Yet in the depths of dark despair, hope can still be felt. With hearts and minds of humanity, be filled with love tonight. For sanity is born of hope, not filled with hate-filled rhetoric. While power and greed destroy our peace, a trusted few remain. These few are reaching many as the horror show hits home. What will it take to restore our peace and love thy neighbor again? Silence is complicit. Deaf ears have frozen hearts. Closed minds are filled with judgment, and fear keeps them in the dark. We ask you, please, with mighty voice, to unite as one tonight. Our community needs all us now. Drop the charade and embrace the truth.
Thank you. Eric Jacobs.
Hi, Council, Mayor. I'm not bringing anything elaborate to the meeting right now. I think it's all been talked about before, but amongst the parents in town, I go to birthday parties, I go pick up my kids at school, And there is a growing worry with the homeless population along the highway. It seems that new tents just keep popping up. Where it's at right now, okay, but you know, we saw what Eugene, and I'm trying to represent what with other parents talk about and myself, and we're just a little worried that it could get out of control. And I know on the highway, I know that it's highway patrol that's in charge of it, but I don't know if you guys can put out a word to them to help prioritize. A bunch of parents have put out words, but just citizens, I don't know how much it reaches out to them. And I know you guys have elaborate plans with the homeless. This is not a unique thing in the past few years. And I'm not privy to all of that, but just a lot of parents that can't come to these meetings. They say things, a lot of my talks, it's like, well, I couldn't be that person that goes up and looks bad, because we have to have empathy for and speaking anything of like, well, we don't want that down our road, you know? So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. I don't have any solutions. I'm sorry to just dump that, but I just want to know that this is like a common thing that parents are talking about. And I'm sure you guys run into it. You guys deal with the community all the time. But this, I've just noticed it, especially with the highway stuff, that it's been popping up in my community. So thanks for your time and all that you do with it.
Thank you. Steve Barnes?
Mayor and Council, Steve Barnes, Ward 4. This is just for clarification. It's a question. This is not a criticism of anybody. But on November 5th, one of our community members was pulled out of their car, a 4'8" woman pulled out of her car, put down on the pavement, had zip ties tied to her wrists while she was telling people, I'm a legal resident. I have my papers in my back pocket. And the agent said, we don't care. So at some point, somebody called the police department and said, there's an assault in progress. Can you come? And they couldn't come. And I understand that there was a drug enforcement activity at that time. So maybe they didn't have the capacity to come. But my question is, the next time something like this happens and the police find that it's a federal agent that's doing this likely assault, what are they going to do? That's my question.
Thank you. Joyce Settlemeyer?
Hello, Council. I'm just here to speak about the review that you're taking on tonight to look at the fees for different groups using city facilities. And as somebody who's part of different groups, I just want to help you remember that the spirit of Cottage Grove is all of our nonprofits and different groups around town. And so I would like you to just keep that in mind when you consider how we set our fee structures so that we continue to have use of our assets and our parks, and that's an important part of keeping everyone involved in all the activities that I think we all want to be part of. And I know we all are, because I see lots of you at different things. I just wanted to remind you that it is important and that you get to hear some of the negative stuff, but I wanted you to hear the positive sides as well. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Counselor Merriday.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to respond to the, I'm assuming you're speaking of the encampment along the interstate gateway and 18th. That is on ODOT property where the city does not have jurisdiction. The city has repeatedly reached out to ODOT and offered to help clear the camp and clean it up. And thus far, there's been no action from ODOT or willing to set a date. Maybe the city manager or the public works director could update us on any recent attempts to contact them, but we are aware and we are trying to get a solution for that.
Mr. Sauerwein.
Well, good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. Councilman Merriday, you are correct. The city has reached out to ODOT and has had conversations with them. And Faye, do you want to speak further on that?
Thank you, Mayor and Council Merriday. I reached out to the manager for maintenance at ODOT. His response is that he would check with his supervisor to see, or his director to see what their direction was, and he was authorized to proceed with hosting the camp, which requires a 10-day hosting period for folks to gather up their things and leave. And then on day 11, ODOT must show up to do the cleanup. Unfortunately, they went through those steps, and on day 11, they had a higher priority item to deal with. And so according to the supervisor, maintenance supervisor, he had to repost that. And I reached out to him, I believe it was after the last city council meeting, and asked if he had reposted it. It was just before the Thanksgiving break. I did not receive a response. I'll keep trying to find out. And you are correct. I have offered multiple times, even with the support of this Chief Chase, to help assist in removing the individuals, and then our staff to clean it up and potentially cut the brush. We've made those offers repeatedly, so they still stand. But ODOT and the state of Oregon is the ones that has to evict the people before we can do anything to assist them.
Thank you, Director Stewart. Public hearings, I see none. Consent agenda. Counselor Irvin. Jack, did I skip you? I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. I am sorry. Let me back up. Jack Jacobs, please come to the podium. I apologize. All of them are items not on the agenda tonight. Please.
Okie dokie, thanks. Okay, my name is Jack Jacobs. I'm the father of Eric Jacobs. I've been here for about 2 months. And so anyways, I wasn't sure I was going to be here tonight, but then Eric called me about 22:07, said, okay, we're going. So this is twofold. This is good that you folks are following up with the Department of Transportation on this gig, because it's expanding. I walk my dog past there every day. Okay. And there's times where they hoot and holler and, whatever, because I might stand there and just kind of not say anything, but they don't like being stared at, apparently. So anyway, that's good. Now, on Hillside, like I say, I walk my dog a lot. So anyways, there's this camper that was posted outside of Safeway for weeks. Well, then I said, oh, it's gone. Maybe you guys, the police department said, hey, wait a minute, you've exceeded the 72 hours in a stationary position. Well, that same trailer now is on Hillsdale, and it's been there for quite a while. So yeah, Hillsdale on 6th Street, I think it is. It's been camped there for a while. I don't know if that's in the jurisdiction of Cottage Grove or not, but I mean, he has a regular residence there right now, FYI to the police department. He's been there more than 72 hours. Okay. The second gig is I am a crossing guard for ACE School, the Academy for Character Education. And so in the morning, it's foggy. And these cars, and I've asked, I think his name is James Crawford. I talked to him numerous times about this big pick-me-up truck with the roofing trailer parking where I cannot see traffic coming either way. I mean, it's a big truck. It's a Dodge 2500. Anyway, the guy plays the game. He backs up and backs, whatever. So sooner or later, a kid's going to get hit. And I almost got hit last week because I didn't see a car coming, and because the car was going like 45, which goes to my other area, is that I've talked to officer, I think it's Crawford, his first name is James, and said, hey, can you have an officer stationary there just a couple times a month for a half an hour? Now, as I understand it, there's resources that are stressed, I guess, and but What you guys could do now, last week, 2 weeks ago, you said that your budget is kind of stressed. You guys could pay all your salaries just nailing these folks that are exceeding double the speed limit. So I think if you folks could expend twice a month, that's all I'm asking for, is twice a month for half an hour. Because we got these guys, I know I'm exceeding, but this is very important. They're flipping us off. They stop and shout not nice words to us at the crossing guards. It's terrible. Okay, one guy stopped. I threw my sign down. I was going to go, want to do it? Let's do it. Okay, but the name of the game is it's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. Nobody pays attention to that speed. Please, and I'm kind of begging the police department on this. You guys can have an officer there twice a month, an hour out of the month. That would make a big deal. Thanks.
Jack. Sorry, I skipped you. All right, consent agenda. Counselor Urban.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion with the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Resolutions and ordinances. Item A, resolution amending the comprehensive fee schedule. Public Works Director, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. So this resolution before you is a proposal to amend the comprehensive fee schedule. It is proposing in 3 various different locations. The first is section 9, it's Middlefield Golf Course. The course fees and cart rental fees were increased to assist in generating revenues to cover increasing golf course operation costs. Staff has reviewed the fees from local golf courses and found Middlefield's fees were substantially lower than comparable courses. In general, the fees are recommended in this recommendation at approximately a 10% increase. Some of it's going to be a little bit less than 10, some of it's going to be more. And the reason for that is that we would prefer not to be dealing with change at the till and made it all round dollars. So there is one item that I would share was higher than the 10%. The city constructed a private golf cart barn, storage barn that we offer for private owners to store their carts. We have been charging $100 a month for that. And it barely covers the cost of the electrical fees when folks are charging their electrical. So we're recommending an increase of to $300 per month to help recover some of the costs and hopefully build up some resources to do maintenance in the future and any additional work that needs to be done. There was an item that was brought up during the work session, a question about the number of private carts can we hold in the storage facility? And I verified it was 46 is the number of spaces we have in the building. And then since then, there was a second question that was brought up by another counselor inquiring about the reference in the fees on page 2 of the resolution. It's in reference to the annual rates. The second item it's referred to in the 5-day is single, and then the second item is married couple, and the third is additional children. The recommendation of staff is to consider changing that to family. I did some research on other courses, and they do offer a family. It's a similar discount, but it's just referred to as a family discount or a family rate. So I'd recommend that if that's sufficient for the council, we would recommend amending those 2 references to married couples on page 2 and the annual rates, one for 5-day and the other was 7-day. And then the next item is item 10, which is miscellaneous. At the end of the miscellaneous section, it refers to the engineering fees on municipal projects. Before we hired our engineer of record, Branch and Joe's, we had in-house engineering engineers that did various different functions of this. They would review designs, they would potentially either design or do the construction documents and do on-site inspections of the project now. And there was different fees for those different phases because it was in-house. Now that we're solely hiring that work done with contract engineers, it's my recommendation that we just standardize that fee at 8% instead of the 2, 6, and 10 that was in the current fee schedule. Then lastly is section 11, which is the community center, armory, special event, and park fees. And I'd like to turn it now over to the city recorder.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Roberts.
Good evening, Council. So in that last section, section 11, I just wanted to note, you can read it in the memorandum and see the details, but the fees for the community center and armory were last reviewed and adopted at the city council meeting in June 26, 2023. So it's been a fair amount of time since we've looked at these rates. And there's 5 bullet points there as to some general categories. So I'll just cover those really quick and then open it up to any questions for council. The first category would be the facility rates specifically for the community center and armory. The rental rates were evaluated and compared against other venues, adjusted to better align with market standards and to achieve sufficient revenue to support ongoing operations and maintenance of those 2 buildings. Janitorial fee was introduced at the armory to offset staff time required to prepare the facility for upcoming reservations. Existing equipment fees were revised and additional equipment fees were established to help fund the maintenance and replacement of equipment at those facilities. Application fees were created for special event and park applications to help recover some of the administrative costs associated with processing those applications. And then the reservation policies throughout the policy were amended to promote consistency across the facilities, and a formal cancellation policy was added specifically for the community center and the armory. So I know as you look at the red line version there, you'll see a lot of the changes and things kind of shifted around, and then right in the middle of the resolution will be that clean copy. So you could see how those changes would look if adopted by council. So at this point, we'll just open it up to any questions you may have about those changes.
Councilor Merida.
Thank you, Mayor. Recorder Roberts, we heard from a member of the community that expressed concern for nonprofits and that might be priced out of the community center. I do understand that we're attempting to recover as much of the operating cost as possible for the community center through user fees. But under the rental and reservation policy, there is a provision for fee waivers for nonprofits may apply for a partial waiver of fees if the payment would cause undue hardship on the sponsoring organization or make it impossible for a group to use the facility. So in your opinion, would that cover this concern?
Yep, thank you, Councilor Merida. So you're absolutely correct. And that particular policy it's actually not a new policy. The nonprofits have the ability to apply for a fee waiver. It's just that it's kind of restructured and written in a different place. So to answer your question directly, yes, I do believe it would answer that concern and help the nonprofits who are maybe having difficulty paying whatever the facility rental fees may be. It would just allow them the opportunity to request that fee waiver to help meet their needs and still be able to use the facility.
Thank you, Recorder Roberts.
Councilor Saddlemeyer.
Since you brought up the fee waiver part of this document there, in part of group 11, they define the groups up here at the very beginning of group 9 on page 4. And then on page 5, they talk about the fee waivers. And somehow it reads, where group A gets to be in two different groups. And I had an opportunity to talk with staff, and I don't think that that was the intention. But if you read it, there's no way for particular group A users to actually have the fee totally waived as read. So I would like to suggest an amendment that kind of does this fee waiver, but make it apply. I was also advised that it would be nice to specify apply via letter to the city manager or designee for a partial or complete waiver of fees if payment is difficult. I mean, the same other words belong, but the idea that the only total waiver be for some of the group A instead of, essentially all. I would like, if people are looking for more incentive to agree with that, explain another kind of potential sticking point with that. Should I continue with? Because it does say you can have a fee waiver, complete fee waiver, if it is co-sponsored or sponsored by the city. So that recommends to me, if I'm really trying to avoid this fee, that the right thing would be first to introduce a letter saying, can we be sponsored? And if that gets turned down, then the city has to handle my next request of, okay, now we want as low of a percent, kind of thing. Separating those, I'd like to see not happen.
Counselor Urban.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to see no fee for the park application for just residents or nonprofits. I don't mind if we keep it for non-residents that aren't already paying property taxes. And no fee for special event application for local residents as well as nonprofits. I think we're doing the right thing in charging rental fees for things. We're recouping costs. I like the changes that are happening at the golf course, at the armory for its use. And I just think if the amount of time maybe spent in dealing with how do I get the waiver? What do I need to do? How do we implicates more time than it may be worth to implement a $25 fee or even a $75 fee for these things. Make it very simple, make it clean, non-negotiable for outside of the city, park application fee, special event fee. But if you're inside it and you're a nonprofit, don't worry about it. And I can support everything else in here, including the language update proposed by Mr. Stewart on page 2.
So do we need some kind of motion or something to see if these suggestions fly?
Councilor Settlemyre, so if council wants to consider the fee schedule with the changes that I'm hearing discussed, what I would encourage would be a motion adopting the comprehensive fee schedule, the resolution number that's stated with the changes, and I would clarify those changes. And if there's a second, then you could actually discuss those amongst yourselves.
I have a question before you do that. The saddle span right now with music in the park, is the chamber being charged? And if so, is this a change to what they will be charged?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So currently, no one's been charged for use of the saddle span. So what would happen is the chamber or anyone else wanting to have a concert, or what we've even had weddings under the saddle span, which is kind of fun. But anyone wanting to reserve that area underneath the saddle span would need to include that in their special event permit or their park reservation fee. And if they fall under the category A, they could request, currently the way it's written, nonprofits could request a partial waiver, and the government entities, city-sponsored, co-sponsored events could request a full waiver. So it is in there as a fee, but waivers are, can be requested.
I do have concerns of anything that's meant for the community as a whole with no charge, to charge them for that. So I do have reservations.
There,
Mr. Stewart.
Maybe this is a question for the city recorder, but city staff generally puts the saddle span up the 1st of June and in May 1st of June. And it'll stay up until the last scheduled concert in the park. And this year, I think we kept it up until the 1st of October. I don't anticipate a fee for doing that. We just set it up and that. But if somebody requests that the back be placed on the saddle span for a special event, that is something that's out of the ordinary, and it takes quite a bit of staff time to do. I don't know if that's what the city recorder and assistant were contemplating, but then I could see making sense that we would add a charge for that. But we typically put it up, it's going to be up. And so if there's some other additional charge that they're thinking, then maybe that could be considered.
Could you clarify?
Yes, so the intent was, thank you, Mayor, the intent was to simply charge for the use. The saddle span structure, Public Works Director can attest to how expensive it was and the amount of staff time to put it up and then also take it down and store it. So the intent was to recuperate some of that staff time associated with doing so, knowing again that category A's, the nonprofits can request the fee waiver. The likelihood of the waiver being denied is probably rare, but I think there are opportunities where there may be some entities, some weddings and different things like that, that they want to use that as a venue. They're not a nonprofit, and we believe there should be a charge for utilizing such a structure.
And I would agree with that. Anyone?
I would just piggyback on what the city recorder was saying, that, you know, the city co-sponsors a lot of events that do use the saddle span. But this last year, for example, we had concert from outside the area that wanted to use it, to Councilmember Irvin's point. And also we've had requests at times for people to use it for a wedding. And again, for people outside the area. You know, look, guys, it's a balancing act. City Council has directed city staff to try to reduce the difference between what we get in every year and what we spend every year. And I support that 1,000%. But the door swings both ways. One is a reduction in costs and also an increase in revenue. So we really are trying to balance the difference between folks coming in from outside the area. You know, people live in Cottage Grove. They pay their property taxes. Their property taxes go to provide them with good parks. We want to continue to be able to do that. But, you know, if it's folks that are not contributing, you know, through taxes, we do need a way for us to be able to try to recoup some of those costs.
Councilor Urban.
I have another clarifying question, I think, before I would want to, well, one, do we have a resolution number?
Yes, we do. Let me flip through these papers here really quick. Get back to the first page. Resolution number 2174.
Thank you. With the special event fees, I think one of the things that came up on Friday in our discussion on this was that not all special events are created equal in terms of the amount of load that it puts on city staff. As this is written right now, I don't see it split out between maybe a simplified special event and a Bohemian Mining Days style event that implicates a lot more. I do think it's reasonable when you have to a certain scale that, encumbers many, many hours of work that a fee be assessed. So I'm asking for guidance in terms of, I want to make a motion, but I want to delineate that. And I wonder if it's premature to make a motion without the language for that. Should we see this back? Would you be more comfortable seeing how that affects, or adding another section about that?
Mayor, Councilor Urban, Deputy City Recorder and I actually contemplated and went back and forth on this fee quite a bit and researched some of the other cities to kind of look at what they're doing and handling this type of application fee. And you're absolutely right. There are some that take a lot more time to process. Those larger events take a significant amount of staff time to make sure that we're doing all the right things to approve the event and protect the public. One of the examples we saw was a staggered, if you will, special event application fee. I believe it was $125 for a larger type event and $25 for a smaller. What we struggled with is, how do you have that line? Where's the line? How do you determine what's large and what's small? So we certainly are open to guidance from council if that's a direction they want to consider. I also heard you mention, Councilor Urban, that maybe that's not a fee for Group A, which is the nonprofit, and B, which is the city resident, that it's only for Category C. So we're open to council's direction. We could move forward with the resolution as it's presented, knowing the amendments, if we know the exact amendments that you want, or we could bring it back. I do hesitate postponing it too far. I know that Public Works Director was wanting to get the golf course fees and the other fees implemented by January 1. In addition, there are a handful of armory renters who are waiting for these fees to be implemented to know if and how they're going to be able to move forward with their reservation.
I appreciate that. And I guess the final piece of assurance that we, because it won't be set it and forget it, but that we'll have a way to come back and see what the effect of this is on our budget, would be to code the hours that are spent in a financial software, so that we can at budget season say, hey, we really need to recoup this. This is getting out of hand, or really look at the effect of it. And if it's a non-issue, then fantastic. Let's just keep it simple. But if it is, and if that's something that we can do, then I would like to make a motion that the council approve resolution 2174 with amendments to page 2 under the annual rates for the golf course, changing the 5-day and 7-day language from married to family, and striking on page 6 under park fees, under Group A and Group B, the park application fee, reduce that to 0. And under special event fees, special event application fee under Group A and Group B, reduce those fees to 0, leaving Group C intact as is.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion with a second. Any discussion? Counselor Sotomayor?
I would like us to take a look at the fee waivers language also. Simply because what was mentioned is the application fees I'm happy with that, but the idea of differentiating the fee waiver possibilities once again complicates the paperwork that potentially the staff will see, where they're 3-tier the way they're written right now. Essentially, first thing up would be try to get it. Somebody who isn't government, or actually that isn't government, should try and be city sponsored or co-sponsored. Then they can get it waived. If they don't get it waived, then they can apply for a partial waiver to try and do this. And all of these are simply, I mean, everybody can pay a tiered amount decided if the words are changed so that all Group A users can apply for a partial or a complete waiver of payment with one payment, one application, rather than, okay, if it isn't co-sponsored, then we got to try the other way. And then we're guaranteed something the other way. Why not guarantee something with one? And essentially, the only ones that will get complete fee waivers, it's kind of like we are co-sponsoring them. So it puts it all together in one.
So having made the motion, I believe I understand the logic of what you're saying. Essentially, it's adding an or, creating a single application process under the fee waivers section under rental and reservation policies on page 5, such that it's one application. And if it's granted as a full waiver, you've been sponsored by the city, I guess. But I'm wondering if there's any implications.
It does seem, because when you look at these applications, or this Group A, Group B, Group C, and all, honestly, I don't know why we delineate between groups when they're all the same price. Is there a reason?
Could you, Mayor, could you clarify your question?
Yes. So when you look down, special event fees, and you see Group A, Group B, Group C, and they're all the same price. And so I question why we even do that.
Yeah, so the fees for that, the cost of that particular fee, you're correct, is the same across the board, A, B, and C. But throughout the chart, you will see differences where A is a lower price, that's the nonprofit co-sponsored, B, which is city residents, and then C, which is commercial or non-city resident uses, they're actually higher. And you'll find that more so when you're looking at the hourly rates for both the community center and the armory. But when it comes to the actual applications, we had that remain consistent. To answer your question, or actually maybe to ask a question of Councilor Settlemyer, what I hear you saying is that you would like it to read, Group A users may apply for a partial or complete waiver of fees. And just to clarify, we don't have a 2-application process. It's not like this application is for a complete waiver and this application is for a partial. You request what, they just need to request what they want. And it's granted, or it's granted in part, or it's not granted at all. So what I hear you saying is that you'd like to add for a partial or complete waiver of fees.
Absolutely.
I would amend my motion to accept that language change.
And I can second that revision.
Councilor Lammerman.
So I just wanted a little bit of clarification on like the armory and the community center. Why was there such, now I know they're refundable, but why were there such steep increases to the initial deposits? Like with the armory, it went from 150 up to 300. The community center went from, was it 100? No, it went from 50 to 150. That's the first question.
Comparables.
Yeah, so certainly, thank you, Councilor Lammerman and Council. So the reason for the increase in the deposit is to have that buffer, if you will, to be able to recoup those costs if there's damage or additional cleaning that needs to take place. Prior to that, our deposits were pretty low. That deposit is 100% refundable after the event if the people holding the event clean appropriately and there's no damage.
I'm kind of looking at it because you have a non-refundable janitorial fee on here also of 125. But you just stated if they clean up and do everything, what's the point of paying a janitorial fee? You're gonna come in and clean it afterwards.
Yeah, that's, thank you, Councilor Lerman. That's a good question. Specifically at the Armory, which is where that larger cost is, it takes a cleaning above and beyond what a renter is expected to do to prepare the facility for the next user. So those custodians are going in and stocking the paper towels and the toilet paper and scrubbing the bathroom floors and the toilets and those things that are above and beyond the expectations of the renter, the person holding the reservation. And that's the reason that fee was implemented. It takes approximately 6 hours for the custodians after each event to prepare the Armory for the next event. And so that is partial cost recovery for those custodians' wages.
And then the other quick question is, what is the alcohol surcharge fee?
Councilor Lammerman, thank you. So the alcohol surcharge fee is simply a fee, additional fee charged to any event or a party or group that has alcohol at their event. It's a way to have an increased rate, if you will. In research, some of the other entities that we looked at would have a 25% increase if alcohol was at the event, or they would have $40 an hour with no alcohol and $55 an hour if there was alcohol. And rather than having all those calculations and math going into the preparation of the reservation, we opted to go just with the alcohol surcharge fee. And it's actually been in place for a while, so we left it and raised it.
So this is basically a comparable to other cities.
Just a different way of obtaining that same fee.
So it's just a basically charge because they have alcohol. Because you also have another deposit on here that's completely refundable if they have alcohol. So you're kind of, I know one's going back to them, but then you're charging again because they have alcohol. It's kind of double dipping.
That's a fun charge.
So it's a fun tax. That makes a lot of sense.
Or bad things happen. Likelihood.
All right, any other, Counselor Hike?
You said that the janitorial is about 6 hours?
Correct.
Okay, is $125 enough to cover that?
It does not cover it.
So should that be increased?
If council would like to increase it and make that change, we can certainly do so. At this, prior to this, there was no janitorial fee.
Okay.
So it is an additional charge that was not in the fee schedule.
I'd like to see it maybe match what the actual fee was or get closer to it.
Counselor Irvin?
I would happily amend my motion to make the cleaning fee, the janitorial fee commensurate with the cost. So it's, I would look to Ms. Roberts to give me that number. Partly think that the alcohol surcharge fee is additional cleanup. So I wonder if that was part of the factoring in.
So to answer your question, to get closer to full cost recovery on custodial services, it'd be closer to $300 per event.
For all across the board on We don't,
Yeah,
are we getting charged a set rate of 6 hours for any cleaning, or is it based
Two
on?
custodians, is that why?
could you repeat the question, please?
Is that two custodians? Is that why?
6 hours total. And to answer your question, Counselor Irvin, some events are going to take significant amount of more work than some of the others. So it may be those that are paying 300. The custodians may or may not have to spend as much time in the facility for that event as they would after maybe a large wedding or a quinceañera or a larger event with significant more people at the event.
Is there a difference in cleaning fee for non-resident to resident?
There is not.
That's where I would like to see the cleaning fee go up. I would like to give a break to residents of Cottage Grove and to non-residents, raise that cleaning fee to match what it costs us to clean it. Counselor Hink?
Just to tag on to that, would it make sense to offer like or have the option for an hourly rate?
Your Honor, members of the council, the difficulty with that becomes, let's be honest, some weddings are a little more rambunctious than others, especially if there's large amounts of alcohol being served. And just trying to keep track on an hourly basis for every single wedding or quinceañera or other event, and then after the fact, charge them for what our actual costs would be, could be a bit of a paper chase. It's just easier if we establish it's going to take us about 6 hours to replace all the supplies and, clean the kitchen and that sort of thing. I fully understand the desire to charge a different rate to folks outside the city. I think, and there's a number of places in here where we're doing that. So, I think that would be reasonable.
Counselor Listen.
Yeah, I concur that the janitorial fee, yes, it's not recovering full cost, but to have it reflect more on the Group C, the non-residents, would be, I think, more appropriate and give a break to our local citizens
That are already paying taxes for the building. Counselor Irvin?
Just out of curiosity, how do we vet resident versus non-resident?
Their application, the address on their application.
I would be remiss if I didn't add the reality check that oftentimes when we try to charge people out of the city, they find a relative who lives in the city. Now, we do try to vet that. And, as my father always said, sometimes you got to help honest people stay honest. That's part of the application process. But, we do check their ID and it is included as part of the application.
Counselor Irvin?
In the comparable study, is this a loss leader? Is this a thing that nobody's charging full recovery for cleaning?
Well, I'm not sure, Counselor Irvin, with the other entities, what their basis and how they, determine their rates and what their actual costs are to run their facility. But some thought that Deputy City Recorder and I put into it is that, we still are a government entity, and I don't think we're going to reach full cost recovery. Like Public Works Director pointed out Friday at agenda session, we didn't factor in things like mowing the yard over there. And he went through a whole list of things that really aren't factored in to these fees. And so that probably doesn't answer your question directly, but I did want to make one other point, and it might give you a bit of comfort. As far as the janitorial custodian fees are concerned, there have been a few events where it takes significantly more than 6 hours for the custodians to clean. And what happens in those situations is that the Deputy City Recorder has them keep track of anything above and beyond the 6 hours. And the renter is billed at loaded wages and it comes out of their deposit. So it is being recouped in some fashion if it's taking the custodians longer than the expected amount of time.
So I would just look for more guidance as to whether or not, now having heard all that, would like to see an amendment to the motion or not.
I would like to see an amendment to the motion of, I'm fine with keeping the fees where they are in this. Because we have not charged them before, and so I hate to up them that much more on the community, but I would like to see a double of that for non-residents. $250 non-residents, $125 for residents. Counselor Lammerman.
I don't necessarily mind seeing that go up a little bit for non-residents, but when we're trying to push more people utilizing the armory and the community center and all these things, if all of a sudden we say, well, since you're not from Grove, we're going to increase it $500 to $1,000 or however much it might end up coming down to, I think it might end up hurting us in the long run because less people, there's a potential for less people from out of town utilizing it, especially when there's talks of a hotel or something like that utilizing the armory or as a venue space. I could see maybe having a higher rate for corporate type clients versus a regular individual or wedding party or something.
Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I did want to point out, I know there's a lot of fees in this chart to look at, and it's kind of hard to mull over, but I did want to point out that when it comes down to the hourly rate for the different groups, the commercial and non-city residents are charged more. So for example, on page 4, down at the bottom for armory fees, nonprofits, I'll just summarize it at that, are $45 an hour. Group B, which is your city residents, are $60 an hour. And Group C is the commercial and or non-city resident uses are $80 an hour. So there was consideration that was put in so that the non-city residents are paying more and even residents are paying more than the nonprofits, but not when it came down to equipment or cleaning. It was done in the rental rates, not the equipment usage rate.
But that's mostly for the room, not for the armory itself, the big ballroom. Yeah. So, and I live very close to the armory, and I can tell you it is busy. And so, and I can tell you that a lot of the people that rent it are not from Cottage Grove. And so I would like to see it be more available to Cottage Grove residents to rent. And so and we're not changing necessarily the fee to rent it, but I think having them pay and they're still not paying what it costs for us to clean it. We're still under that cost. And so I still feel like we're giving them a really good deal. And if they were to go to Eugene or some other place, they're going to pay a lot more money. And so I think that's very advantageous to Cottage Grove to at least recoup our costs and leave it more available to the citizens if we're going to rent it to them. Counselor Lammerman.
Not to necessarily get into a debate, but my only argument with that, like with the cleaning fees, is if you turned your house into a B&B or an Airbnb, you wouldn't necessarily expect the customer to pay for you to clean your house before they come into it. So why would you then expect them to pay for you to do the cleaning that would be above and beyond what they would be expected to do with their deposit?
It costs $300 to have it clean, and we're charging $250. So we're charging what it costs to clean up after their event, not before they come.
So what exactly are they required to clean up to get their
I
deposit
can
back?
tell you because I just had an event there. So it is, you have to take all the garbage out and you have to sweep the floors and just mop up any little spots that are there. You have to stack up all the tables and put them up next to the room so that they can, city employees can come and put them away. If you use any electrical, you need to, like spider boxes, put them back where they belong.
So put it back how you found it,
Tablecloths, you have to,
basically.
you have to take all the tablecloths off, put them in a pile, or launder them, depending if they're rented or if they're the cities. Anything else that I'm forgetting?
You did pretty good.
Okay.
So what exactly
there-
is
there
our
is-
janitor service doing?
Well, it's a big
above
space.
and
It's a
beyond?
big facility.
I know,
So
I
they
cleaned
come
it
in
for
and
years.
Mop the floors. They have to mop the bathrooms. They have to clean all the toilets, wash out all the sinks.
But wouldn't that be kind of normal cleaning?
It still costs the city money though to send in janitorial service. So we're just recouping the cost of the employees. So in any, like I do have an Airbnb and so I do pay cleaners and I don't charge more than the cleaner, but I do charge what it costs to have it cleaned. So, and we would still not be charging the full amount, and to city residents, we'd be charging half, less than half. So it's still a fair price in my opinion. So. Councilor Urban.
So it's not that big of a deal to me, one way or another. What's the bigger deal is getting the data with all of these increases to see what the usage is going to be.
Right. We can
So
always revisit.
I could go whatever you guys want to do on that amendment, on that particular fee, but I think we need to keep a close eye because we do want utilization. It is going to be a lot of money extra. The rentals, we got to see how this pans out. So I can make an amendment, or if anybody has a strong opinion.
Councilor Wilson.
Yeah, I'm good with the 250 on the group C. Did we conclude on the saddle span, what we were doing with that, or are we changing that or leaving it alone, or what are we doing with that?
I think we're leaving it alone. with
Leaving
the-
that one alone?
with
Okay,
the-
we're leaving that one
yeah, with
alone.
the
I know it was
voucher.
brought up. I just didn't know if we came to a
Yeah.
conclusion on that. But, so 250. I do also want to point out that the fees for use of chairs, tables, linens, all that is cheap comparatively to if somebody were to go to Parties to Go or some of the other equipment rental fees. And the use of the facility itself is very inexpensive, just in general for venues. I've done venue planning before. We're not charging much.
And my motion to increase the cleaning fee on the commercial, non-residential side of things, with the Armory Group C to 250.
And second concurs with that change.
We have a motion with the second. Any more discussion? Will the recorder please call the roll?
Counselor Hink.
Hi.
Thank you. Counselor Lammerman,
No.
Counselor Irvin,
Aye.
Counselor Merriday,
Aye.
Counselor Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Soulsby,
Aye.
Counselor Settlemeyer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1. All right. Item B. Ordinance amending the City of Cottage Grove Municipal Code Title 14 Land Use, the citywide zoning map for McKinley Avenue, approximately 911 feet in length. Senior Planner Lenny Crow.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. So on October 13th, the City Council voted to approve the annexation of the right-of-way known as McKinley Avenue per section 18.04.090 zoning of annexed property The applicant is required to file a zone change application to convert from county zoning to city zoning prior to the city filing documentation with the Secretary of State. The city of Cottage Grove is the applicant and is requesting to apply the C2P community commercial and R1 low density residential zones. These are consistent with the comprehensive plan designations of the C community commercial and L low density residential. The Planning Commission held a public hearing for this application on November 19th, 2025, voting unanimously in favor of applying C2P zoning to 145 feet of McKinley Avenue and the R1 zone to the rest of McKinley Avenue, which is approximately 766 feet. The Planning Commission does not have the ability to adopt an ordinance, so staff is asking council to ratify the Planning Commission's decision to approve this zone change. This ordinance was prepared and has been available for at least 1 week prior to this meeting, and it could be adopted at this.
Any questions? No? All right. Ordinance number 2175.
This will be Mayor Ordinance number 3202. Got to keep you guessing.
Yeah. Counselor Iden.
Thank you. It actually said it on this one. Apologize. I move that the city council adopt ordinance number 3202, amending the City of Cottage Grove Municipal Code, Title 14, Land Use, citywide zoning map for McKinley Avenue, approximately 911 feet in length.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Counselor Merriday.
I second.
We have a motion with the second. Any discussion? Will the recorder please call the roll?
Counselor Lammerman,
Aye.
Counselor Hink. Aye. Counselor Irvin,
Aye.
Counselor Wilson,
Aye.
Counselor Settlemyre,
Aye.
Counselor Merriday,
Aye.
Mayor Soulsby.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item A, municipal court judge contract renewal and agreement. City manager, Mr. Sauerwein.
Good evening, Your Honor, members of the City Council. Our municipal court judge serves a one-year contract, which actually expires on December 31st of each year. And last month, on November 24th, Judge Martin Fisher presented his annual report to the City Council. And earlier this evening in executive session, the City Council reviewed and evaluated the judge's performance. City staff recommends that the City Council consider the contract renewal and amendment for the municipal court judge. And if the council desires by motion, approve the renewal and amendment to the municipal court judge and contract and authorize the mayor to sign the contract.
Counselor Irvin.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Counselor Merriday. We have a motion with a second. Any discussion? Counselor Irvin.
I would just note that in general, the court, its proceedings, the administration of justice in our community is lacking. And it is something that we're looking at, that we're aware of, that we're discussing. A lot of things are outside of our purview to make changes, though they are items that we convey through our representatives beyond here at the city and want to keep the pressure on. The state of affairs of collections of fines is abysmal. I don't care if that's the same everywhere. It's abysmal. The posture of residents and those coming through our community of disregard for law enforcement, for the standards that we set through our ordinances and codes is unacceptable. It's disappointing. And so these are things that are difficult, you know, for a judge to sit in this seat and go through Thursday mornings when court is held. But our judge does so with an admirable attitude from what I've observed. And it's really a community effort to really assist this process, to stand up for quality of life, to keep coming to the podium and calling for things that are unacceptable around you. So I appreciate those that came up in this and tonight, and I'll address more in the concerns of council. But I think overall our judges doing a good job, gets really high marks from those who serve in the court that don't work here, are not specifically employed by the city. So I think we're fortunate to have Judge Fisher.
Anyone else? Will the recorder please call the roll?
Counselor Lammerman,
Aye.
Counselor Settlemyre,
Aye.
Counselor Wilson,
Aye.
Counselor Merriday,
Aye.
Counselor Irvin,
Aye.
Counselor Hink,
Aye.
Mayor Soulsby.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item B, City Manager Performance Evaluation. The employee will be evaluated on his job performance and ability to meet established goals and objectives after 6 and 12 months of employment and annually thereafter, whenever otherwise deemed appropriate by the city. After 6 months of employment and subject to satisfactory performance review, the annual salary shall be increased by 3% of the then current base salary. After 1 year of employment and subject to satisfactory performance review, the annual salary shall be increased by 3% of then current base salary. The city manager is requesting that the city council grant a 3% cost of living adjustment, the same of the other non-represented employees that received July 1st, 2025, and a 5% merit increase, both effective on his anniversary date, January 22nd. The recommendation is that the city council consider the performance evaluation of the city manager, Mike Sauerwein, and based on his job performance and ability to meet established goals and objectives, determine and modifications that will be made to his salary. Do we have any discussion or motion? Counselor Irvin.
For the city recorder, is this, what do you need to be able to process this item from the council? Consensus or a vote? Or
I would need a motion.
Okay. Make a motion with the bid here opening on what's in our agenda packet on approving the 3% cost of living adjustment commensurate with the other non-represented employees and the 5% merit increase effective January 22nd, 2026.
Can I ask if we've budgeted for this?
Yes.
We have. Counselor Sotomayor.
I'd just like clarification. Is this a fair amount and fair raise for people in similar cities in our comparatives, like we did with all the other salary discussions we had? What's going on around us?
Mayor, sorry to interrupt. I didn't hear if there was a second on the motion.
No, there was not. Okay.
We should probably, before it's opened up for discussion, it'd be best to have a second and then council can continue with discussion.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
So we're still open for discussion.
Counselor Evans.
Yeah, so I'll hold a perspective. It's been the same perspective of last year that I am in limbo about this. One, I look at the landscape. This is, as it was accurately stated, public employees are in an industry where they have lots of options to move laterally up or wherever they want to go. And so that's a real thing. And that I'm trying to wait where that drives this salary discussion. The other side of it, just speaking personally, is when you're really dedicated to an organization, you see a big budget shortfall, you voluntarily say, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to lead by example that we have a real problem. And if we can't raise the money, there's an ownership side of it. But then again, this is not an ownership of a business. To where there's profits to be reaped and rewards, with the risk. So that leads me more on, this was the contract, this resetting the city manager salary was really where this happened. And we're on a course of continuing on this way. I guess I'm a little bit torn on this. We're in a financial pickle. And this is pretty minimal.
I would like to concur with that statement because as I said in my review, I respect your leadership and you got an exemplary review. And, right out of the gate, you came in and eliminated a position of assistant city manager that was never in existence in all the years of our city forever. That was put into place for a couple years, and you came in and got rid of that, which eliminated a big financial strain on our city. And then did quite a few changes that we were bleeding money. And I can say that was very helpful for our city. And so, but with that being said, we are struggling with our budget. And so I definitely concur with the difficult position that we're put in right now, because gosh, if we were doing really, really well, it would be something I wouldn't even have to consider. I mean, it would be just right out of the gate. Yeah, you definitely earned it. And that's not what this is about at all. What it weighs heavy on us. Counselor Settlemyer.
Yeah, I was really hoping we could do those comparables, and like what we did with everybody else, it's a no-brainer if these things line up with what our comparables are to me. But giving a larger bump when the comparables don't support it than we did with everybody else, I think also, not to say you're not doing a good job, but we didn't want to have that same communication to any of the staff that we just went through this budget stuff for. So do we have any comparables at our hands?
To answer your question directly, we did not do a compensation comparable study for the city manager position. We certainly can do that, but we did not do a study, no.
Counselor Hink.
I wholeheartedly believe in hiring the best people and paying them well. And I wholeheartedly agree with what has been said, that I feel that you've earned every penny of a 5% merit increase. But I'm struggling with the current state of our budget, and I want to see us, when my big goal is seeing us get like, some surplus there. So, just in case. And we've talked about that before. I support a 3%, COLA for sure, absolutely. I'm struggling with 5%, not because you're not awesome and don't deserve it and haven't earned it, but just where we are. And I want to be able to revisit this. I just don't know if it's right now.
Counselor Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Councilors. I'm wholeheartedly in favor of merit increases. I'm not that big of a fan of just COLA increases. So my thought is the 5% based on merit, because you've done a phenomenal job for the city. Both, I would struggle with justifying that just because of the budget concerns. Not that you haven't earned compensation. But I believe if you've done the job, you've done a fantastic job. A merit increase is something that's earned. COLA is just constantly raising the bar that, and if there's no money to support that, it's difficult to throw that out there. I think more on the merit side of it. You've earned the merit side of it. And the 5% merit increase would be something that I could support.
Counselor Hike.
Thank you, Counselor Wilson. I think that's an excellent idea. Change my what I said, not the 3%, but 5%. I could definitely get behind that.
Counselor.
Thank you, Mary. Do we have any contract considerations or rails that we need to be reminded of in this consideration?
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the council. I do not believe so. I mean, the language that you have in the agenda bill is the actual language out of the contract.
Counselor Lammerman.
So I'm just going to ask the question, Mr. Sauerwein, would you be okay with just doing the 5% merit increase and eliminating the 3%?
Council member, absolutely. Look, the reason I asked for the 3% increase for a COLA is, as was stated in the agenda bill, is that it equals what other department directors received. But I'm happy with whatever you're willing to do, guys. Let's be honest. We're in a financial pickle, and I completely understand this. And I want you to know that I really thought long and hard before I ever made this request, because of the fact that the city's in the financial situation that it is.
I'd like to amend my motion to reflect the 5% merit increase and foregoing the 3% COLA as presented in the memo.
I second the amendment.
We have a motion with a second. Any further discussion? Counselor Irvin.
Now I want to say what I missed saying in the first part, which was the public announcement of the difference that we have under your leadership here, being the executive of the city of Cottage Grove. The future is bright. We truly are grateful for the direction, the change. It takes time to right the direction of a ship with a small rudder, but you have received high marks from us. You have implemented feedback, eliciting feedback from staff, which hasn't been done regularly in the past, and have, in your quiet way, folksy, charmy way, have helped us chart a hopeful future with what's to come. And so I want to say for myself that I really want to see you continue here. And I appreciate the sacrifice of your willingness and how you handled the response to that question. And I think it demonstrates the leadership that we've already seen, and it's appreciated.
Counselor Lamberman.
I have to call attention to myself. I violated the motion rules. Counselor Settlemeyer actually has to be the one to second your amended motion because he seconded the initial.
I second it. As stated by Mr. Lamberman.
Second. The amendment. All right, we have a motion with a second. Will the recorder please call the roll?
Counselor Wilson,
Aye.
Counselor Merriday,
Aye.
Counselor Hink,
Aye.
Counselor Irvin,
Aye.
Mayor Soulsby,
Aye.
Counselor Lammerman,
Aye.
Counselor Settlemeyer.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
I just wanted to thank Your Honor and the council members. I really have enjoyed working with you guys for the last 2 years. Look forward to continuing our relationship. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Concerns from council? Counselor Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I attended a school board meeting, and I wanted to report on a particular topic that was brought up. There was it was a quite lengthy meeting. There was a couple of different things. There was acknowledgement of the cross-country teams, which I had brought up in our last meeting then. But there was also a considerable amount of discussion and a desire for the school board to acknowledge the contributions to our community of Bud Taylor. And the Doherty pool, it has been suggested that the pool itself, the actual pool area, be renamed the Bud Taylor Pool. And the Warren Doherty folks are planning on actually changing the sign on the pool itself to reflect Mr. Taylor's contributions to the swim team over the years. There's also an opportunity for Wall Dogs to be involved in that they want to do a mural at the center. And so that I did bring that up to the school board members, and they were all in favor of looking into that as a potential. I suggested that I know that the Wall Dogs have a tradition of involving local community members in that, and I'm thinking students be involved with that particular project and that mural project. And I think that would be a wonderful reflection on our city and Bud Taylor's contributions. And I think if we as a city can get behind that, I think that would be phenomenal. There's one other thing, and right off the top of my head, I cannot remember what it was. The upcoming, not related to the school board, but along the same timeline as when the Wall Dogs will be here. I have had contact with several members of the and I'm getting more numbers of band members that participated in the parade sequence during the Animal House movie. They were classmates of mine. And so I've gotten quite a few more phone numbers and contacts and excitement is building for that.
Anyone else? Counselor?
Well, I want to appreciate all that came and brought their concerns earlier in the meeting. I do think the traffic enforcement in front of ACE is something that needs to be looked at. I think I've experienced a similar response. We had a constituent up by Harrison who was repeatedly getting speeders going by. Didn't seem like there was traffic enforcement available, repeated during school zones. Finally went and got a radar gun and gave it to her, and we filmed, and she took it on her own. And the response to that was just, I mean, she learned a bunch of new words. And so, I mean, it's not up to the citizens to be enforcing, speeding in school zones and keeping kids safe. What I really would like to see increased enforcement. So I guess we'll probably be talking more about that in the overall law enforcement discussions. Appreciate city staff's efforts in making contact with ODOT. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help as council. It is frustrating. I think we addressed the city fees, hopefully satisfactory in a manner. In terms of, when allegations are brought to us of wrongdoing, misconduct of any sort, I want to assure our residents and citizens that we take it seriously. So we'll follow up on those things and do our best to make sure that they're handled appropriately, as much as it's in our purview to do so. And we got sung a song tonight, as well as had the incident with one of the folks that runs a business downtown being even sure how to characterize it. And I'm debating on whether to address it, but I think I speak for myself, certainly not for the rest of the council, but there's a perception that what's happening is something that's supposed to be a response from our police. But we live in a state that precludes any interference or action with federal immigration control. I think that was a specific question that was asked. And so I think hands are tied in two ways on that one from a state level. Personally, I think you can't have a country without borders and laws restricting and discretion over who comes in, or who doesn't. We proclaim to be a country that is ruled by the rule of law, and there's a process for doing that. We're all sitting in these seats as evidence of representative government. And so the encouragement is to continue to make the petitions to representatives who are in positions to make, uphold or change laws. The city can do things at an ordinance level, but are precluded from doing things beyond what was passed available through our state. So I think we do have to care for one another, look out for each other, but remember that we are under the rule of law, and that keeps the society intact. And I'm open to have that discussion with anybody that would like to further it. But I know what it's like to be on the other side there, bring a concern and not have it addressed. So I will leave it at that.
Counselor Settlemeyer.
Kind of in relation to some things you've spoken on, and also when we were evaluating the judge earlier. It just seems if we throw it out in different settings, that we should be able to find more diverse opportunities for community service things to be assigned for court judgments on violations in this community that could have real positive impact on the community. And I know that's just one little piece, but someone ought to come up with something. We have a lot of needs and we have a shrinking budget. So what can we put together?
Anyone else? Counselor Mary Day?
Thank you, Mayor. As this will be the last city council meeting of 2025, we're proceeding into a new year. We have a new downtown to get used to. I had my first drink of water on Main Street on the cross from the Opal Park, and it tasted good. So there's a lot of potential as we examine the mechanism of our urban renewal district, and we're still grappling with our financial woes. We are looking for solutions. We do have lots of things we have set for ourselves with goals. So I'm going to be making some New Year's resolutions, and I would like to ask fellow councilors as well to find some goals that you can help promote out of our chosen list. And as we think ahead into the future of our oncoming retreat, to how to revise and update our goals to set our path forward. And just on a personal note, I would like to remind folks that if you need a Christmas tree, the Scouts will be at Safeway for one more weekend. So thank you.
All right, time check before we move on. Extend for 15. All right, Counselor Lammerman.
So first off, I don't know if it was directly implied by one of the speakers, but we are not paid. The city manager, the staff are paid, but we are not paid. To kind of touch on Councilor Urban and Settlemeyer's statements in regards to some of the patrolling and policing in the community. It is astonishing at the blatant disregard by some of our community members for common sense laws, i.e. crosswalks, red lights, speed limits. I don't know if it's a simple lack of presence from our police department, which is embracening the community members to think that they can just do whatever they want to do. But it's astonishing the amount of laws I see broken on a daily basis, driving through town, walking through town. It's purely astonishing. Anyways, on a more positive note, the downtown Cottage Grove group is actively looking at drafts for the Opal Whitley Park for the design and all that. I don't know if they've been sharing any of the preliminary designs with the city yet, but they're getting ready to go into their third rendering for what the park's going to look like. So far, it's looking pretty phenomenal. I think everybody will be excited when they finalize their design and send it over to the city for their inputs. But I think it'll go very well with what we've done so far downtown. I think it's going to be awesome. And with that, Happy New Year to everyone.
Well, I just want to congratulate the City of Cottage Grove, Chamber of Commerce, and all the people that came out for Christmas in Cottage Grove on Saturday night for our tree lighting. And it was amazing. I heard so many people say it was the best tree lighting that we've ever had. So that felt really good to hear. We normally just have Cottage Grove High School Choir, and this year it was Cottage Grove and Lincoln. And so that was special. And we had a bunch of children that dressed up as Who's from Who'sville. And when Santa came in and with his magic lit the Christmas tree, the Grinch ran in and to the song, You're a Bad Man, Mr. Grinch. I think that's what it is. He unplugged the Christmas tree, and then the children all gathered around it, and the choir sang the Whoville song, and it relit the tree, and it was really special. And the witches of Cottage Grove came lit up more as angels this time in blue lights and did a dance. And I guess they performed last year too, and that was really something to be seen. And I hope they continue to do that every year. It was special. And I want to definitely thank Georgia Haskell with the Chamber of Commerce. She is amazing and works so hard. And I know was down there till at least 11 o'clock. I think she worked 18 hours on Saturday for the event. Cameron Wrighton, you are amazing, dedicated volunteer to this community. And Cottage Grove thanks you for that. We also have another big announcement that you're all watching what's going on downtown with our refinement, and it is going amazingly well. And we are getting so many compliments on that the streets look so much wider. And I can't even tell you how many people I've seen on roller skates, which is amazing, on our sidewalks. But the big announcement is that we believe that we will be opening traffic both directions on Friday. And but we'll have to get back to you on time, but we're thinking 4 o'clock, correct, Mr. Stewart? So 4 o'clock, we'll be doing a ribbon cutting downtown. We'll stop traffic for a short amount of time. So we want to invite everyone to come and join us. And it'll be a lot of applause for that. And we'll have to get used to driving both directions again. Hopefully the police won't be watching us too closely. So anyway, please come out, everyone, and join us in that big celebration. Director Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add a couple more pieces. So this is not going to be the grand ribbon cutting. Okay, I want to get that out. But we really wanted to take this moment when the traffic gets open both directions to take a second, cut a ribbon, document it, put out a press release, come downtown, shop at our to our businesses, and you can use the road as it's intended. So it's kind of our first step, but I don't want anybody to think this is the only grand opening. We'll do that later, probably in the late spring when the weather's better and we can plan something spectacular.
I'm really glad you said that, because that would have been a real letdown. Everybody comes and we do the ribbon cutting and then go home. Thank you, Director Stewart. All right, report from the city manager.
Well, good evening, Your Honor, members of the City Council. First off, just some general comments about human resource issues, not any particular human resource issues, but understand that the city does not make major human resource decisions without consultation with our attorney, with our insurance carrier, and any appropriate state regulatory agencies. Enough said. In the spirit of the season, I just want to invite everybody to this Saturday, come to Shop with a Cop, which we'll be doing in cooperation with our friends at Walmart. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to our police department. We have our annual employee holiday event next week. The Ducks are in the championship playoffs. And all kidding aside, guys, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be a part of the city of Cottage Grove. In the last 2 years, my wife and I definitely have felt welcomed into this community. We feel like we're a part of it, and you can't say that for all cities. One of the things I've always appreciated about this place is the number of events that we have for the community. And Saturday was just a great example. Special thanks to the Grinch. So with that, have a happy new year. Have a Merry Christmas. I'm really glad that I'm here. Thank you very much.
Director Stewart.
I'd just like to add a couple more thank yous for Saturday's event. Weyerhaeuser donated the tree. I'd really like to say a huge thank you to Weyerhaeuser. And then Pacific Power was the entity that put it in place. So we really appreciate the fact that they brought a spectacular tree and we were able to set it up using Pacific Power. So get a chance, please thank them for that contribution. And lastly, we're just going to go ahead and say we're going to do the ribbon cutting at 7th Street at 4 p.m. on Friday.
All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this meeting. Happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you in 2026. This meeting is adjourned.